When it comes to studying for the bar exam, you might be tempted to follow the crowd and just do what everyone else is doing. That would be a really bad idea, and in this video, I'll explain why. I'm Jackson Mummy, the owner and founder of Celebration Bar Review, and for the past 25 years, I've helped thousands of bar takers, people just like you, to make their next bar exam the last bar exam. If you want to know more about how we do that, check out the links on this page after this. Today is the second of our video lectures that I've titled Exam Peace. And in this series, what I'm doing is taking two words that don't go together very well, exam and peace, but kind of showing you ways that you can get some peace and find some peace around your studying for the bar exam. Now, in video number 1, I talked about what happens after the exam, doing a post-mortem of the exam. And if you've just taken your bar and you're waiting for your bar results, I really encourage you to watch that message. Today, I'm going to track back to the beginning of the process just a little bit and talk about how you can find some peace when it comes to the bar exam by not following the crowd when it comes to studying. Now, this is going to be a somewhat painful message for some people because I'm going to tweak some pretty deeply held ideas, some pretty preconceived notions. Pretty preconceived? Well, you get the idea. When it comes to tweaking, I have to tell you that some of the people and businesses and institutions I'm tweaking, they like to tweak back. So there's no question that there are some people that are unhappy with me because I say these things, and you can find them easily on the web. Google is a great thing, I guess, when it comes to that. But the ultimate truth of what I'm going to tell you today, I think, is totally unassailable. So I want to talk about how you can find peace at the beginning of the process by doing something that's counterintuitive, and that is to not follow the crowd. Now, here's what I mean. Most people who study for the bar exam will take what I euphemistically call the big box courses. That is one of the courses that almost everybody knows about that are typically locked in a titanic struggle with one another for supremacy on most law school campuses. And the reasoning that most people use when they take one of these 3 big bar review courses is not that it's necessarily the best course, or even that it's the course that actually meets their needs most effectively. It's not that it has the best price, because it doesn't, or it's the most convenient, it's not, or it has the best professors, that's debatable, or does the best work, I don't know, and certainly not the one with the highest pass rate, because truthfully, that would be us. But they take it because everyone else is doing it. Now, obviously, I'm talking in large part about folks who are 3Ls or 4Ls, but this message applies even to people who are going back and taking an exam again. I hear from lots of bar takers who tell me in the past tense, well, I took the big box mega bar review of your choice because everyone was doing it. Then I realized somewhere during that process, this is not a particularly wonderful course. Doesn't meet a lot of my needs. It's not very convenient. I'm not getting any feedback. There's no support here. I'm not getting the help that I need. But unfortunately, it's too late to make any difference or to change out of it. So I felt like I was falling behind further and further. I started to panic, and then things went south. So the result was that for a lot of these folks, they didn't pass the bar. And then they come to us feeling let down by the bar exam and really wondering what they can do. Now, I recognize that law students in particular, and people in our profession generally, are risk adverse. But here's the real irony about this idea of taking a bar review course just because everyone else takes it. It really has to do with the math. It's kind of like when we were talking about looking at the math in a post-mortem, I guess. Let's say that the biggest bar review is the one that almost everyone takes in any jurisdiction. You know what their pass rate is going to be? Well, think about it. It's going to be the official state bar pass rate. In other words, let's take California. The big box bar review has a pass rate of about 35%, less for repeat takers. Now, if the big box advertised, hey, take our course because we've got a 35% pass rate, I think a lot of those risk-averse people would say, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So the big box folks, they're pretty smart and they're talented, at least in the marketing field. They say instead, take us because what? That's right, you can say it, because everyone takes us. Now here's the interesting part. Your goal is not to get the state pass rate, is it? Your goal is to pass the exam 100% for you. So if you do what everyone is doing, what happens is you've suddenly diminished your chances in most major jurisdictions. And when I say major jurisdictions, to be completely specific, I'd be talking about California, New York, Florida, Texas, Georgia. Those jurisdictions alone, the bar rate for the state is much, much lower than the bar rate that we've had over the past 2 decades for our students. Why is that? Well, we're not a big company. We're not tied into the state pass rate, and so we can run counter to the tide by doing the things that have been successful instead of being tied into the state rate. Now, imagine for just a minute that you're actually running the Big Box Bar Review, and you know that no matter what you do, no matter how good your course is, no matter how fabulous it is, and your professors are so great, because you prepare between you and your competitor 90 to 95%, or whatever that magic number is, of the bar takers in that jurisdiction. Imagine that no matter what you do, your pass rate is actually controlled by the bar examiners. Your company's pass rate is outside of your control. So by the examiner setting the level of the bar and the cut rate for that particular jurisdiction, it clearly makes a difference. That's why we're seeing such a debate right now in California about the drop in the cut rate. The pressure for that is coming from the big box bar reviews and a couple of law schools. That's where it's really happening. It's not from the bar profession itself. So, if the examiners of state X determine that only 45% of their applicants are going to pass this year, and that happens, it doesn't matter how great your big box bar review course is, you're only going to get a 45% pass rate. Now, take it one step further. For those of you that had some economics in school, or maybe you work in the field, think about in terms of incentives. What kind of an incentive does that low pass rate create for a big box bar review to do something extra, or to provide more service, or to give greater feedback, or to be more focused in what they offer their students? And the answer is there isn't an incentive at all. There's no incentive because they are tied like a rock around their waist to that pass rate. So, to bring it all together, what happens is that when you follow the group or the herd, you're getting the least incentivized and the least responsive type of course, because there's really no reason for that bar review provider or group of providers to do anything different or anything special. The only thing that might cause them to write a better course would be competition from the other mega big box bar reviews, but the Federal Trade Commission made it pretty clear over the years that that's not the way they want to see these companies behave. So, as a result, following the crowd basically gets you mediocrity at best, and in many cases, much less than that. Now, here's the other interesting thing to me about following the crowd. Let me just ask this. Did you follow the crowd when you picked your law school? And I really want you to think about that for a minute. My guess is that very few people watching this video would say, oh yeah, I chose X law school because all my friends were going to X law school. You know, that's not the way I saw it work, either as a student or as a teacher. I think most people choose a law school based on the programs that they offer, the kind of financial package they get, the location, the convenience, the reputation, and so on. The range of law schools, as we know today, is huge. And I think it's be foolish to say one type or kind of law school, one concept of a law school would fit everyone. So, in one of the most important decisions that you had to make about your legal career, that is, what school you were going to go to, was it a correspondence school, a traditional school, was it a top 10 school, or a top tiered law school, or a bottom tiered law school, or a school you could attend at night, whatever that was, you had to make a decision about individual choice and what worked for you. It strikes me as being really ironic that when it comes to the really next big decision that has to be made after entering law school, which is how do I pass the bar exam so I can get out of law school and get into the practice of law, then people suddenly become drone-like, if you will, Jedi mind trick. And in that mind trick, they suddenly say, I must be doing what everyone else is doing. It's very strange. Actually, it's not so strange, because truthfully, the big box bar review courses spend millions of dollars indoctrinating students right from the beginning so that they think that's their only choice. Now, if doing what everyone else was doing actually gave you peace of mind and worked, I wouldn't have any leg to stand on here. Sort of like sheep to the slaughter, I think. You know, here we go, ba, 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 and we're going right along, and then whoosh, right over the edge or into the that place where they turn in the sheep into cutlets. The reality is that when people get into these big box bar review courses, very often they realize early on it's not a particularly good fit for them. Now, for some people, it's obviously okay, but for most people, it's not terribly convenient. It's not well tuned to what they want. It doesn't give much in the way of responsiveness. There's not much feedback. There's not much personal attention. But now you've started your studies and you're sitting in this room, you're watching a video, or God forbid there's actually a human being up there who's reading a script, not taking questions, not interacting, and you suddenly say to yourself, this doesn't seem very much like law school. That's because it isn't. That's not what they're trying to do. They're just trying to deliver information to you. And now you don't have any peace at all. Often, I hear from frantic and panicked students from other courses. I get phone calls and text messages and emails. I get posts on our Facebook group, and I can tell you almost to the hour when those courses start across the country, because within a day I'm hearing from people in those courses saying, is it too late to get out and switch to your course? You see, you can't really be successful by following the herd, because the process of the bar exam is ultimately counterintuitive. To be really successful, you need to zig when everybody else zags, particularly if you're in a jurisdiction like the UBE or California or Texas or Florida or Georgia, where pass rates aren't particularly great. If you're doing something different than the people who are all grouped together at the bottom of that range, then you have a much better chance of passing. So, one of the ways that I think you get peace of mind about this entire process is to make a decision, a choice, to find a course based on what meets your needs. Now, if Celebration Bar Review is that course, that's great. If we're not, that's great too. You do the research and you find out for yourself. Look at the comments and the interviews and the testimonials that our past students have done. We've got a great part of our site where we've got video interviews with successful students, as well as written comments from many students across all the jurisdictions that we teach. I think it's a great way to find out what makes our site and what makes our course different and what makes it work for people. And you might be able to say, you know what, that's like me. I think that would work for me. You know, I think when you get into that kind of research and you start asking, what is it that I need? Do I need a course that gives me the flexibility to study at night or on the weekends or from any location? Do I need a course that gives me individual coaching and personalized feedback? Do I need a course that allows me to interact with other bar takers in the course online with group coaching calls? Do I need a course that shows me a more effective way of writing performance tests and essays? Do I need a course that will help me improve my multi-state score and to answer more appropriately for the MBE? Do I need a course that uses the latest educational approaches, things that are proven to be successful? Or do I want a course that basically does what it's been doing for the last 40 or 50 years, which is to stand up every day and read material and then dump that material on the student and walk away? You know, I think that's a pretty clear choice for most people. But the point is that whatever that choice is for you, start putting the foundation in place for the peace that you're going to have throughout your study process. Now, as we go forward into this video series, in later episodes, I'm going to talk about the bar study specifically and how you can find peace as you go through each part of the study for the bar exam itself.